Hi, I'm Rob. Hope everyone had a really good New Year's Day. And in this Gems of War video, I'm going to take a look in the Soulforge and tell you what I think is good and bad in there. I'm going to take a look at the new Glory Troop and give a rating on that and tell you what my Mythic of the Week is. Anyway, what did the Buddhist say to the hot dog vendor? Make me one with everything. Is what he said. Ay, ay, ay. Anyway, what did I come in here for? Oh yeah, just to explain about Crinklemas. Crinklemas event looks like it's still there. It is, but it isn't. What it is, it's part of the new update where basically the event has ended, but you can still spend your ice crystals in the event shop for a week after the event has ended. That's why this is still there. So you can't do any battles, you can't do anything like that, but you can spend your ice crystals, which I've done already. I just got a load of pet food. Right, so on with this. First things first, let's take a look at this new Glory Troop. Sea Scavenger. Got all week to pick this up. Don't have to do it today if you don't have enough glory, but if you do, always grab it. Always good to add new troops to your roster. What it does is magic-based damage to the last enemy with a 20% chance to devour them, then submerge itself. The thing with these kind of troops is, as a experienced player now with a lot of stats and things like that, I'm not a fan of these Devour ones. They're not very good for me, but as a newer player I remember favouring these Devour type troops really a lot. Like you used to use Kraken an awful lot in the early days because it changes the game. When your stats aren't as good because you're a newer player, if you get lucky with this Devour, then it can absolutely transform your team and just make a massive difference to the game, because when you devour a troop, it destroys them completely. They're gone, and adds their attack, armor and life to your own, which can be an absolute game changer. And the stats aren't bad either, the traits rather. Immune to devour, immune to burning and fairy fire, and gain bonus blue from blue gem matches. Pretty good. I like it. As ever, grab these all the way up to Mythic level if you can afford it on the Glory, because then you've got another troop to get to level 20, which is going to aid your power level kingdoms in the long run. Whilst you're here, if you've got an absolute bunch of glory left over, why not grab some Spoils of War, more event keys, more gold, more souls, and joy of joy, more treasure maps. We love treasure maps, they're fantastic. No, they're not. Anyway, on to the Soulforge. Let's take a look at the weapons first. I'm not going to look at the ones that are here all the time. These are in previous Soulforge videos, but first up is Iron Wave. Deals magic-based damage to an enemy boosted by Merfolk allies, then creates a mix of 6 blue and brown gems for each Merfolk ally. So this uses red and yellow, so basically it's going to generate blue and brown, so you want your Merfolk allies to, at least 2 of them, to use blue and brown, otherwise you're creating colours for no reason. So if your team fulfills those requirements, then yeah, that can be a decent weapon, does damage as well as charge up the rest of your team. These are here all the time. Nature Staff is not. Deals a magic-based damage to an enemy and deals double damage if there's a leaf storm, and creates a leaf storm. So if you can cast this twice in succession quite quickly, you're going to get that double damage because you create a leaf storm when you cast it, and of course you can force a leaf storm at the start of the game in certain classes anyway. So you can get it to do double damage pretty much consistently if you can cast it quickly. So yeah, not bad at all for that level of weapon. Sort of thing that I would definitely be picking up if I was a newer player. Low cost, high potential damage. Amber Partisan. Deals magic-based damage to an enemy boosted by Merlantis allies, then creates a mix of 6 blue and green gems for each Merlantis ally. So similar to the other weapon, this uses purple and yellow, creates blue and green. So if your other allies use blue and green, you're going to generate some decent mana for them as well as do damage to the enemy. Make sure you fulfill those requirements though, otherwise it's a waste. Trident of Merlantis. This is one of those ones where I call them the anti-Merlantis weapon, if you like. The troops in Merlantis like blue as kind of their preferred colour. That is what most of the troops use. And with this you remove all blue gems. No benefit, just literally takes all the blue away. It's like I did wonder what is the point of that when I was a newer player, but it's literally when you're fighting particular teams that really like blue. in this case, and it deals magic-based damage to an enemy boosted by the amount of gems removed. And if the enemy is from Melantis, or if the battle is in Melantis, you'll deal double damage. So situational, but pretty decent when it's called upon. Anything else? Doomed Dirk. Dirk is doomed. Deals magic-based damage to the last enemy boosted by blue gems. If they have a doom, deal double damage. So quite situational to get that double damage. And then there's a 3% chance per tempering level to kill the enemy. So that starts off really, really low. But if you have enough tempering on this, it makes it reasonable-ish chance, like 1 in 3 sort of thing, there or thereabouts. But strictly end game, really, because it takes a hell of a lot of tempering to get these things fully tempered. So if you're a new player, ignore it. If you're an end game player, you knew that already. Alright, on to the troops. Nothing special in the Summoning Stones ones this week. I had a quick look earlier. Let's start off with the Mythics. Ardes. He's Ram, but you could do with a bit more. It's okay. The initial damage can be mediocre to okay, but if you can get it boosted up, it can actually work pretty well. But another one of these Mythics, it starts off just alright, but it can be devastating if you find a way to boost the magic in your team. But yeah, he's alright, and the traits are okay. Deal double skull damage versus stunned enemies. That can be pretty effective, and at the same time reducing damage from skulls by 50%, so not too bad in first place. And give 4 armor to all brown allies when matching brown gems. So a team that generates a lot of brown constantly, that can generate a lot of protection for the team at the same time, while whacking out some decent skull damage if you can get them stunned at the same time, and then finish them off with a flying headbutt kaboosh. Pharaoh Nefertani deals damage to an enemy boosted by death-marked enemies and curse and disease all enemies. Mana cost of 24 seems quite high on this. I'm not too much of a fan of death-mark. Don't like relying on luck to win games. It can go in your favour when it happens really, really quickly, but yeah, not my favourite kind of thing. But curse is good, disease is okay. The traits are not too shabby. Death mark a random enemy when matching 4 or more gems, but yeah, not my favourite. And she's just saying, does my bum look big in this? Ubastet. He got nerfed a little while back, but he's still decent, just not as wildly, insanely good as he was a little while ago. Deals magic-based damage to the 2 weakest enemies, boosted by all ally and enemy attack. So the more powerful the team you're fighting, and the more powerful your team, obviously, the more damage this guy does. And if one of them dies, just kill the other one, regardless of how much they add. So you can soften someone up with a bit of damage, and then finish them off with them and get 2 guaranteed kills. The only bad thing about him is he's kind of a one-shot wonder. Because you've cast that once and killed 2 people on the other side, the combined enemy attack of you and your team is a lot weaker than it was on that first cast, so you're not going to be doing anywhere near as much of a boost on that second cast. But he's still very, very good in the right team. And Draculus steals life from all enemies. That is it. But that's actually not too bad. In my case, like, we're stealing 39 life from all enemies, but because that is stealing life, that is effectively true damage. And what's that? 4 by 12, 16, so that's like 156 life, but stolen, so that's over a 300 point life swing. You're taking all that away from them and adding it to his own. He just sucks the blood out of everyone in one go. Not quite sure how he manages to do that, unless he just goes around like the speed of Flash, just sucking everyone's neck or whatever he does. I don't know. Anyway, he does it all at once, apparently. Have no idea. He just says, you. Thank you very much. That is obviously dependent on the whole team being there. As obviously you get less enemies, that becomes less effective. Gain 8 life when I deal skull damage. Bashes them around the head. They splatter some blood everywhere. He sucks it up. And it gains to his own. Right, let's take a quick look at these legendaries. As ever, I don't recommend crafting legendaries unless it's something outrageously good like a Yao Guai. But let's see what we got here anyway. Krampus. Oh, I don't like this thing. It deals damage to an enemy and submerges them, or devours them, or transforms them into a daemon and knocks them to the back. So, you can do damage and submerge them, which is okay, even though the damage is low for what is a base legendary. Or devour them, which is good. If that happens, that's very good indeed. Or transform them into a daemon and knock them to the back. Now, the daemon you transform them into could be a lot more powerful than the troopers there to begin with, which is a 1 in 3 chance. So, yeah, that is obviously the unwanted gift part of that, but no, that is not been in any one of my teams ever. None of the traits are particularly game-changing either, so no, Krampus, bog off us. Nimue. This is actually really good. I like this. Transforms yellow gems to skulls and red gems to purple. So the good thing about them is you can see if that's going to work before you do it. The bad side of these kind of spells is you have to wait for them to see if they're going to work. Sometimes you get a match straight away and it's going to work, because generally you want to cast these only when there's a 4 match. You get the extra turn and guaranteed mana. But sometimes it just doesn't work out that way, and you can spend ages just charged up and no point casting it because it's not going to do anything. But this does have the bonus of silencing the 2 strongest enemies as well, which is really good. Silenced troops cannot collect mana and it cannot cast spells, so silence is actually one of the best traits in the game for me. Hyndla Frostbound. She used to be around a lot a few years ago in many teams, not so much now as better and more usable troops have come along. But she deals splash damage to an enemy and freezes all affected enemies and summons a giant at the same time. So good. It's still relevant in some giant teams, just not so much so as she was a while ago. King Selenus. Still very good indeed. Deals splash damage to an enemy boosted by wild folk allies. Steals 1 magic from all enemies affected by that spell and then burns everyone. Is impervious, which is really cool, and one of the best things, all wild folk allies start with 50% mana. So yeah, not too shabby at all. But who gets my super coveted, world renowned, not, Mythic of the Week? Well, it's not going to be Ares or Pharaoh. It just can't be. It has to go to ubastet. Just has to. Not the absolute mental powerhouse he was a little while ago, but still really, really good. And excellent in the correct team. So ubastet gets my Mythic of the Week. I'll be back later on with my world event team and probably a Kingdom Pass guide or something like that as well. Just a quick guide to show how that works. But there's a video. If you enjoyed it, why not bash that like and subscribe button and tell your guild, tell your hamsters, goldfish, budgies, dog, cat, iguanas, bears, goats, frogs? Do people have pet frogs? I don't know, people have weird pets these days. I've seen some really weird stuff. But anyway, tell anyone you like. Just don't do it to a random guy or girl in the street. Don't stop them and say, "Oi, you seen HonestRob's latest video? It's really cool." Don't do that. They'll probably think you're a bit weird. Anyway, I'm going to stop waffling now. I'm going to crack on. World event team to have a look at. Thanks for watching.